Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of PMP practice questions, specifically waterfall questions, which is your sequential or step-by-step project management questions, and directly from the PMBOK 6th edition, which is one of the greatest resources for waterfall questions in the entire world, as far as I'm concerned. I've been through it many times, and yeah, I could probably say it's probably one of the best, if not the best, that I have seen. Plus, these are scenario-based questions, just like you'll find on the PMP. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Let's get into it. The first question. Your project charter has recently been approved and you are gathering the customer requirements that will form the basis of your project. The project customer advises that they have been burned by previous project deliveries in the past, where the project did not deliver what they really needed. What will you do next? Okay, so how do we make sure that the project delivers what the customer actually wants? And remember, in Agile, you might get short feedback loops or release your small pieces to get feedback. But we're doing waterfall here, so we don't have that luxury. How can we still make sure that the customer gets what they want? Okay, create an initial list of requirements as part of a solid requirements management plan. Okay, requirements management plan, that's more about how we will gather and manage and check with changes for our requirements. And it's not really about us creating an initial list of requirements. We would prefer to work with the customer and get their needs, because this is what they need. After all, we're trying to deliver value to them. So for this one, let's say no to that one for now. Call a focus group with our customer experts. Okay, that sounds promising. And brainstorm requirements with them. Okay, that sounds pretty good, that one, because we're going to the source. We're asking them what they actually want. That's probably a good thing to do if we're trying to give them what they want, right? Perform benchmarking between the area process and external organizations. So benchmarking is we take our process and we compare it to a similar process, but in a completely different organization. And then we find out where the gaps are. Maybe there's a gap here, maybe there's a gap here, and then we can use that to create a project based on that. But that's not gathering requirements from our customers, what they need. So, that's a good method, but not for us at this stage. Create a requirements traceability matrix to ensure requirements are tracked properly. So that is where, the customer gives us those requirements, we turn them into scope, we give them the acceptance criteria, we go through testing, and then they have sign off, and we can see the steps and exactly how that's going and tracking that from start to finish through our project. That is also a good answer. So then they can see those requirements. But before that, we still need to check in and ask the customer themselves. I think for that, we're going to go with answer B. All right, good stuff. First one, not too bad. This question focuses on the tools and techniques you will use when collecting requirements. So tools and techniques, brainstorming, interviews, focus groups, questionnaires, and benchmarking are all noted. Given the customer has had difficulties in the past, the best option is direct collaboration, focus groups, and brainstorming. Now that's pretty cool. They tried to throw us off a little bit with both of these ones, but this is still the best answer. Page 138 under Collect Requirements, Tools and Techniques in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition if you want to check that out for yourself. All right, that's great. That's the first one in this little section done. It was almost too easy. We'll see how the other ones go. Your deliverables have recently been quality checked by a specialist testing team. Okay, checked. Let's see where this is going. And passed with flying colors. That's wonderful. You take them to the project sponsor for approval so you can move to project closure. So we get the deliverables quality checked, then we go to the project sponsor for approval or for verification, I think they're called. We validate the deliverables and then we verify them with the project sponsor, and then once they accept them, we can close the project. So what are we trying to do here? The project sponsor accepts all the deliverables except for two. One she notes as a defect and one as a missed requirement. What will you do next? Okay, so we've got two that haven't been accepted. We might need a change here. Make the changes as soon as possible to avoid further delays. Maybe, but this is waterfall, remember, we have to go through the proper checks and balances. So how do we make a change? Usually through a change request, I think. So raise an issue in the issue log, as this will delay your project. maybe because this is potentially an issue, it might delay our project. But what comes before that? Raise a change request, oh, that sounds promising, for the items, along with the reasons for non-acceptance of those deliverables. That sounds pretty good, actually. We'll see what the last one is just in case. Proceed as normal. Okay, yeah. Let's just ignore the issues. That's always going to make things better. That is sarcasm. If you couldn't tell, you've delivered them as per the project needs. Well, we haven't, because they haven't been accepted by the project customer. So let's put let's say a no for that one for now. And I think based on all of these answers, let's go with answer C. There we go. For the completed deliverables that have not been formally accepted, change requests are raised along with the reasons for non-acceptance of those deliverables. Well, that's very good to know. And it's page 166 under Validate Scope, outputs change requests. So change request as an output of validating the scope. If you want to check that out for yourself in the PMBOK guide. How did you go? I thought that was very good. All right, let's see what's next. You have gathered the customer requirements with your team and are finishing the creation of the scope statement. You need to baseline the project scope to ensure future changes are tracked as necessary. What will you do next? Okay, so is this about the scope baseline perhaps? And we've created the scope statement, so that's part of the scope baseline actually. It's the scope statement, work breakdown structure, and work breakdown structure dictionary. And something else, I can never remember that fourth one. Maybe it'll give us a tip here. Take the scope statement to the project sponsor and steering committee for approval. I think we need more so we need all of these things really for the scope baseline. Ask the project sponsor to approve the project charter and the project management plan with the included high-level scope. Probably not there, we need a bit more detail. So we're doing the scope baseline here, we need proper baseline scope information, all of the information. That's why we ask for these things. It's a good way to capture all of that scope information. Update this configuration management plan with the scope statement as a baseline document. We need more than the scope statement. We need the scope baseline. So we need all of these three things as well. So again, it's trying to throw us off here, but not quite. Create a work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary with your team. That definitely matches up with what we're saying there. I think we're on the right track. Let's go with answer D. Excellent work. All right. The scope baseline includes the scope statement, work breakdown structure dictionary, work breakdown structure, and here it is, work packages. I always forget that one. Work packages is number 4. So that's a work package is something broken down, so it's something that people can work on, an actual piece of work small enough that a team or a person can physically complete and work on. That's a work package. As we've already created the scope statement, the next best step is to create these things as inputs into the scope baseline. Page 161 and 162 under scope baseline in the PMBOK guide. Excellent work, guys. How did you go for that one? Did you get thrown off by those funny questions in there or those funny answers? I think we got through that pretty well. We sorted it out. We got through their tricks, and that's good. All right, let's see what we've got next. You've been planning your project using a waterfall methodology. The project team have collected the requirements from the customer, who is eager to begin work as soon as possible. You set a meeting with the business analysts in your team to create the scope statement based on these requirements. What will you do next? Okay, is this just about the scope statement then? So what's in the scope statement? Not to be confused with the scope baseline as we saw. All right, I think let's see what we've got here. Include the scope description, deliverables, acceptance criteria and exclusions. Acceptance criteria I know for sure is in the scope statement because otherwise it's just a description. It's like us describing what the scope is going to be based on the customer needs. But then what are the actual deliverables, high level features, but also the acceptance criteria of those features so we really know when we've succeeded or not. I think this actually could be our one, but let's see what else we've got. Include the scope description, good, work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary. That's the scope baseline like we were just looking at before. So we'll put a no for that one for now. Include the scope management plan, statement of work and requirements traceability matrix. Scope management plan is the process of how we're going to manage our scope. So what steps do we go through as we need to manage our scope? Who do we gather it from? What do we do? What format do we put it in? What documents do we need? All of that stuff, the process. So that's a good document to have, but not for us right now. Include the project charter, project management plan, and accepted deliverables. I think those, they're important documents, but again, not for us at this stage. I think let's go with answer A. All right, excellent. The project scope statement includes the scope description, deliverables, acceptance criteria, and any exclusions. The scope baseline includes the scope description, work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary, and work packages, as we saw before. Don't get tripped up by that. Page 154, under the project scope statement, if you want to check that out for yourself. A little light reading in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. It's only 800 pages or 700 or 800 pages to get through. Guaranteed to put you to sleep. All right, but what won't put you to sleep is the next question here. Let's get into it. You've been assigned to a project that is behind schedule. Okay, well, this is going to be exciting then, so that's good. Some of your team approach you and ask you what they should be working on. Okay, you check with your team, and one of your senior analysts recommends you work together to create the work breakdown structure dictionary. What will you do next? Okay, is this just us creating the work breakdown structure dictionary? Okay, this could be easy. Create a scope breakdown with unique identifier. Oh, here we go. Description and acceptance criteria. That is our work breakdown structure. Yeah, I think a dictionary. So the dictionary is all of that extra information. So it has acceptance criteria, who owns it, the step that it's up to, unique identifier, description, just any extra information you need on that scope. So that is definitely matching up to work breakdown structure dictionary. Let's see what else we've got here. Work with the senior analyst to create a resource assignment matrix instead, and coach them on the difference between a resource assignment matrix and work breakdown structure dictionary. Whoa, hang on, okay. That's a little bit left field. Why is it saying that? But the team are asking what they should be working on. So hang on a minute. I think they're trying to throw us off here a little bit. So the team needs to know what they're working on, but someone else has suggested that we work on a work breakdown structure dictionary instead. Is that going to give us what we need? Okay, I think this is a little bit of a tricky one. They're trying to trick us here. I think we actually do need a resource assignment matrix to see who is assigned to what they should be working on. I think that's the actual question here. Let's put a tick for that one for now. Let's see if there's any other curveballs. Gather the project scope, break it down into smaller work packages. Probably not going to get us what we need for either of these just yet. It's a good answer though. Create a scope breakdown with unique identifier, description, and resource requirements. Oh, is that now a work breakdown structure dictionary as well? Okay, look, so if both of those are very similar, it could be either of those. But honestly, I think we're trying to figure out who needs to work on what, and to do that, we need a resource assignment matrix. I think they're trying to trick us. Let's see what we've got. Let's go with answer B. Okay, good. That was a bit tricky, gosh. Okay, a resource assignment matrix is the best approach, showing the project resources assigned to each work package. It's used to illustrate the connections between work packages or activities and project team members. And we've got page 162 for the work breakdown structure dictionary, if we need that information, or 317 for the assignment matrix, if we want to look at that in more detail. Okay, well, obviously they're getting a little bit more advanced with the questions here, trying to throw us off. So that was a good one to go through. Be careful for that in the exam. What have we got next? The project charter has been approved. You have identified the stakeholders you'll be working with and who will be impacted. As the project progresses, you notice multiple stakeholders who seem to be actively trying to sabotage your project and your efforts. What will you do next? Okay. When we've got unhappy stakeholders, then maybe they don't want to collaborate with us or cooperate. So how do we bring them back on board or on side? Review the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. And this is where we have these 5 things. So we put all of our stakeholders down one side and we say, are they unaware of our project? Are they resistant? Are they neutral? Are they supporting? Or are they leading? And it sounds as though currently we've got a whole bunch of stakeholders who are resistant. Either that or they're at best neutral, or even at best unaware even as well. So not good options for any of those. So for all of those, what do? We invite feedback from those people who are resistant. I actually think that could be our answer, so that's pretty good. What else have we got, just in case? We don't want to get tripped up again like the last one, so we better read them all. Remove the people who seem to be slowing your project from your project team. Okay, sometimes you might have this option, but sometimes you won't have this option. You have to work with the people who are slowing your project. You still have to bring them on board. You have to use your leadership skills, your management skills, your negotiation skills, your conflict management skills, your communication skills, and all of those things combined in a difficult world for your project management skill set. Very, very challenging, very difficult. That's why they need you as a project manager and as a leader. That's why they need your skills. That's why you're doing the right thing. But for us, we can't just remove them. Yeah, not every time anyway. Let's put a no for that one. Oh, I accidentally put a tick. I secretly wanted to remove them. Escalate the problem solvers to their functional managers for disciplinary action. Oh, okay, another one. We could escalate this to someone else. And again, you can do this in the real world too, sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can win their minds. They will come to work because they have to do it, but their hearts, they still don't believe in the work. We want to collaborate with them, communicate with them, bring them on the whole journey, and I think this is still our best answer. Review the impact over influence matrix to determine how to engage with the stakeholders. That's more for our impact over influence. That's more to see who has the most power and control and who's impacted the most. And so who do we need to communicate the most to? But for us, we need to see who we need to engage. So all of that to say, long-winded answer, let's go with answer A. There it is. Assessing stakeholder engagement and gathering their feedback is the best answer. Using an impact over influence chart to see who holds the most influence might help you. However, this question involves determining which stakeholders are at risk and then using communication, interpersonal and team skills to engage them. Page 521 and 527 under Manage Stakeholder Engagement, Communication Skills. And it really does have some good tips in the PMBOK guide for communication. I do recommend you check that out, page 527. Really, really good. All right, that was another tricky one. Let's see what we've got next. Your project involves nearly a dozen teams who are dispersed around the country at different sites with thousands of impacted stakeholders. The executives in these areas are concerned with the changes the project will bring. This will happen all the time, by the way, and are starting to push back on your planning efforts. Okay, another engagement question maybe? What will you do next? So again, we need to engage and communicate and collaborate with these guys, potentially negotiate and a bit of conflict management as well. All of this stuff, very important, very tricky. Create the project charter and arrange for sign-off by the executives. Probably not. We've probably been through this already. And if it's not more than high level, project charter is only high level and it kicks off the project. So let's say no for now. Create the communications management plan to ensure that their communication needs are met. This sounds very promising because that was like the next step after our engaging. So we see who is resistant and then we communicate in the way that they need to be communicated with. So, what information do they need and how do they prefer to get that information? That's our communications management plan. Very important. I think that could be our one actually there, so that could be good. Raise a change request for the project to arrange to co-locate all the teams. May not be possible, and it's going to cost us more money, so we're going to need more information there. It's going to impact our budget, it could impact our schedule. We're bringing people here, there, or everywhere, and it actually may not be possible. Some people are happy in the city that they're already in, so there's always that. Create the requirements traceability matrix so you can trace the executive's requirements back to the scope that you deliver and keep them engaged. That's also a good one, but again, we still need to communicate whatever that is and do that in the right way. I think for our purposes, let's go with answer B. All right, the project is already in progress, so assume the project charter has been approved. Good to know. The communications management plan contains stakeholder communication requirements and is the current plan for collecting, creating, and distributing information in a timely manner. It identifies the team members, stakeholders, and the work involved in the communications process. Page 377, Communications Management Plan. How did you guys go with that one? That was a little bit nicer. I thought that was quite good. And now we're really getting into these soft skills as well. It's really good stuff. All right, last 3 questions. You're doing great. A number of risks have been raised on your project. You perform qualitative analysis to get a subjective risk rating, but your project customer is not satisfied. They would like you to perform additional qualitative risk analysis beyond impact and likelihood. Wow, this is tricky. What will you analyze next? So it's not, I thought they were going to say quantitative analysis, which is your financial stuff. So let's see what options we have and see if there's a typo here or what's going on. So additional qualitative analysis, simulation, sensitivity analysis, decision tree analysis. This is quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis is your big simulations, lots of data, mostly financial information or data usually as well. So what's the financial impact? And lots more quantitative, in-depth analysis. So that is quantitative risk analysis. But unless it's a typo, that's not what we're asking for here. Cost of failure, cost of appraisal, cost of prevention. That's the cost of quality and not quite what we're after from a risk perspective. So let's say no there. Executive needs, political needs, promotion needs. I can't remember these being anywhere, so this might be a red herring actually. I think they're trying to throw us off here. Let's say no for now. Urgency, proximity, and strategic impact of the risks. That actually could be the one. The urgency of the risk, the proximity, how close is it to us or how close is it to that person? The strategic impact, how much does it impact our strategy? That actually could be good. And it's still qualitative, it's still a little bit subjective. So I think that's actually the one. Let's go with answer D. Excellent, all right. As part of qualitative risk analysis, other risk parameters you might measure include urgency, proximity, dormancy, manageability, controllability, detectability. Wow, I feel like now they're just making up words here. But no, it does kind of make sense actually. Is it easily detectable? I mean, yeah, that does make sense. Strategic impact and propinquity. I'm probably going to have to Google that word after this. If someone does know what propinquity means, it might be like how likely something is to happen. Anyway, if you figure it out, put it in the comments. You'll be teaching me a lesson and that will be wonderful, wonderful. Page 423, 424, under qualitative risk analysis, assessment of other parameters, propinquity is a new word for me today. All right, last 2 questions. One of the risks on your project is significantly large and could seriously impact your company if it ever came about. It has captured the attention of high-ranking executives, of course, who have each proposed a response and thinks that theirs is the best, of course, and that always happens. That will definitely happen in the real world, so this is going to be a good one to go through. You decide to solve the argument with a decision tree. Okay, what will you do next? This might just be about how to make a decision tree, so this is good. Rate the risks for their probability and impact and get a rating for each. That's our qualitative risk analysis. I can't quite write qualitative, but hopefully you get the idea there. Note each of the options on a vertical bar chart for their impact sensitivity on cost. Vertical bar chart is a tornado chart. It ends up looking a little bit like a tornado, -1 to 1, -2 to 2, for example, based on a single idea in the middle here. So that's a quantitative risk measure as well that we saw. Sensitivity analysis, that is. Note the various response options with their cost, impact, and their probability of occurrence. So, I mean, this is similar, but also, so the decisions that we make in a decision tree have the dollar impact here, but also they have the, what's the likelihood percentage? This is going to happen 50% of the time. This one's going to happen 50% of the time. And then we go off to, another one, and that's going to have this dollar impact, and this is going to have this dollar impact. And then we've got another decision, and this one's 30% of the time, and this one's, 70% of the time. So that's our decision tree, and we add all of those things up and the probabilities, and then we have, a probability of certain costs right at the end. So it's a bit more involved than qualitative analysis. That actually could be our one there. Perform a simulation, that's probably quantitative simulation in depth of all the responses against multiple criteria to test their impact. That's actually Monte Carlo analysis. So yeah, that's good to know. I think for our purposes, let's go with answer C. All right, excellent. A decision tree shows various options with their benefit or cost and various, often uncontrollable outcomes with their probability of occurrence. That's the way that we get an idea for what sort of risk we're heading into here. This allows you to choose the path with the least cost and the least probability of impact. Page 435 under decision tree analysis. Excellent work. You've made it to the last question. Let's get into it. You're nearly there. You're doing amazing. Let's do this. You've recently become a project manager for a large organization and you're not sure what to expect. Okay, new person, new organization. Your colleague tells you that the organization is large enough to have a substantial project management office and it is a directing PMO. What will you do next? So there's three types. It starts with S, I can't remember. Controlling is the next one, and directive, supportive, that's what the one. Supportive, controlling, and directive. Supportive just gives you a rough idea or a guideline to follow and says, you know, if you want to do this, go for it. Controlling gives you the templates and tools and says, okay, you guys need to follow these templates and tools. We're controlling the way you do projects. Directive directs everything, the whole kit and caboodle. They say, you'll work here, you work here, this is how we do it, this is the governance, this is the templates, everything. They're directing all of the action. So if we have something there, that'll be our answer. Collaborate with the other project managers in the PMO to find a project that suits your skill set. Maybe not. Let's see what else we've got. Get started on a business case in your work area to initiate a project. That's maybe more if we had more control ourselves. I think this one, they're going to assign us to something, I think. Oh, here we go. Good. A way to be assigned to a project by the PMO. This could be the one. Could be the one. Review the project management frameworks, templates and tools mandated for use by the PMO. That is more of a controlling PMO, like we were saying. I think for our purposes, let's go with answer C. And there it is. There are three types of project management offices: supportive with templates and guidelines, controlling with adherence to frameworks and templates, and directive with a high degree of control where they directly manage the projects and assign project managers to the PMO. Page 48 under Project Management Office in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. And that is the end of this little section. You guys have done an amazing job. But more importantly, you're doing something that's really, really going to impact your life and really, truly going to help your entire career, no matter where you work. I truly, truly believe that you can pass the PMP. And when you do, it's really going to impact your life in a positive way. I really believe that, and I really believe in you. Keep going. I know you can do this. I'll see you in the next videos. Bye for now.